Hello golf fans, I'm Chris Durrell. I'm here for dailyfantasysportsrankings.com, DFSR.com for short, to bring my weekly DFS PGA breakdown. Before getting in, if you're not a DFSR member yet, make sure to get over to DFSR.com, click on the sign up button, and get your 7-day trial right now. That gives you access to all of our NBA, NFL, it's obviously in the off season right now, but MLB starting this week, and our new NHL tools as well. And then after that, you've got two options for $14.99 a month. You get our projections, access to our members only chat, and access to our new premium content articles that do come out. And then for $29.99 a month, you get our lineup optimizer, which is powered by Lineup Lab, and that is for NBA, MLB, NFL, and NHL. One price, all under one umbrella. Gives you access to our chat where we spend probably most of our days in there coaching, answering questions, that type of thing. So a lot to offer here at DFSR.com. With that, let's jump into this week's picks. This week, the PGA Tour heads to Austin Country Club in Austin, Texas for the WGC Dell Match Play. For DFS, it's a completely different setup this week. I'm not going to be covering the Corrales tournament with the weaker field. I'm really been concentrating on the Dell Match Play here. As you can see, I built a bracket into my cheat sheet this week. I'm going to kind of go over some strategies in this video, how to attack this. It's only the second year they've had this style of DFS on DraftKings for the Dell Match Play, so we don't have a whole lot of data of what happened in the past, but I definitely got some strategies that are going to set you ahead of some of the field, especially maybe in some of the lower buy-in tournaments this week. So first of all, we've got 64 players. They are in 16 different groups of 4 players. So what will happen, the tournament actually starts Wednesday, so keep that in mind when you're building your lineups, that everything starts tomorrow morning, not Thursday morning, so you need to get your lineups in earlier. What they're going to do is Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, each player in the group. So, for instance, Dustin Johnson is going to play on Wednesday. Say, I don't have the schedule in front of me, but say Matsuyama, Grace, and Reeve in the first 3 days. So you play each player in your group once, and then whoever wins that group comes out into the round of 16. So as you can see here, I've got one just kind of drawn up. So I've got Dustin Johnson coming out of that group. Sergio Garcia coming out of that group, and then it's just a bracket style, lose and you're out. So as you can see, Saturday morning is going to be the round of 16. Saturday afternoon will be the Elite 8, and then Sunday we're going to have the semifinals in the morning, and then the final will be 18 holes in the afternoon. So I do have the regular cheat sheet here, and what I've also done this week is I've set it up for group numbers. So if you want to make your own and maybe sort the sheet in a different way to help you do your research, go up to File when you download a copy of the cheat sheet. Click Make a Copy, name it whatever you'd like here, and click OK. It's going to open up another version of the cheat sheet. This time it will be editable for you. So what I've done, just to make it a little bit easier when looking at your first groupings, is I've sorted the sheet by group number. So you can see all 4 players in a group as you go down the list. So you can just easily compare form, history, stats. I've also moved things a little bit this week. Right up against the player information is going to be the course history and current form, and then the DK to odds differential. And then we've got the raw stats in green, and then I've taken those raw stats and ranked them in the orange. This allows me to build a model. As you can see here, I'm looking at a pretty simple model this week. Strokes gained, ball striking, a little bit off the tee. This is a Pete Dye course, so a lot of emphasis on placing the ball off the tee so that you can get a shot at these greens. Par 5 scoring, big here at this course, going to want to score there. And then birdie or better percentage. Generally, the guys that are making the most birdies are going to be winning holes. I don't care if a guy has a blow-up hole and gets a 10 or a 12. Doesn't really matter. He's just going to lose that hole. But he will, the guys that do, if he turns around and makes a birdie the next time, he can win a hole, and then he's positive points for you. So pretty simple this week when it comes to the stats model. The next thing we're going to look at here before talking about some picks and some strategies is looking at the scoring, because it's completely different this week. So as I see, it did not show up here, so I'll just bring it up on DraftKings. So you can see is for the rules and scoring here, we've got 3 points for a hole won, 3/4 of a point for a hole halved, 3/4 of a point lost if you lose a hole. If you don't, holes not played, we'll talk about that in a second. If you win the match, you get 5 points. If you have the match, you get 2 points. That can only happen in the group stages, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. After that, they would play extra holes, and that scoring does count to your score when we get into the round of 16 and so on. If you go 3 consecutive holes won, you get a bonus of 5 points. And if you don't lose a hole in your entire match, you will get 7.5 points. The hole's not played, so if a player wins 3 and 2, that means they're 3 up with 2 holes to go. The match is called, they win the match, so they're going to get the match 1 bonus, and then if they didn't lose a hole, they would get the no holes lost bonus, and then again, because they didn't finish those final 2 holes, they will get 1.6 points for each of those holes, so 3.2 points there as well. We did see some last year, like for instance Kevin Kistner over Poulter in there, I think it was the round of 16, beat him 8 and 6. Didn't lose a hole, so he got all the bonuses. He did have a streak of 3. He didn't lose a hole in the match, so all those 6 holes he didn't finish, he got those points as well. He won the match. And then all the holes won there too. So that's a domination. And so if you can find a golfer, going back to the bracket here for a second, if you can kind of go through these groups and you feel that you're comfortable that you've got a golfer in one of these groups that you feel he's going to play 3 matches in that opening round, if you feel you can dominate 1 or 2 of those matches and get a lot of those bonuses, you're going to really help yourself in building your lineups. And then the next strategy thing that I really think you need to concentrate on, I think you're doing it wrong if you're not doing it this way, is when you're looking at building your core golfers, you need to look at the regions. So 1, 2, 3, 4 groups here, that's one region. Then 4 groups down here, that's another region. 4 groups here, and then 4 groups here. The reason I say this is because you want to get your golfers as far as possible. So for instance, I've got Griot, DeChambeau, Stenson, and Johnson as my final 4. When building a core, say I'm doing 50 lineups, I'm probably going to use that core in 10 to 12 lineups. And then I'm going to change my core up a little bit with my bracket and go through. But I want to make sure that my first 4 golfers in my core come from all 4 different sections of the bracket. That way they don't, like for instance, if you went with a core of Dustin Johnson and Patrick Reed, well, sure, they could both get out and get some points for you in the group stages, but they're going to play each other in the round of 16 right away. One of them is going to be eliminated. So you want to go away from that. So then after you've got those 4 from those different regions, what you're going to want to do then is keep your 5th and 6th golfer in your lineup as furthest away from playing that guy as possible. So for instance, my core, let's just say here, Dustin Johnson, Henrik Stenson, because I've got him, Bryson DeChambeau, and Emiliano Griot. So from there, if I use those 4 guys in my lineup, which you can easily do, and you're going to have to take some risks this week, because if you're going to stack Dustin Johnson and DeChambeau, or Dustin Johnson and Koepka, or McIlroy and Johnson, or you know, 2 of the big names, you're going to need some value. So that's kind of what I did here with Griot and Stenson, just coming out of these regions. So after those 4 guys, to fill in those next 2 spots in your lineup, I would want to, if I'm going to pick a guy up here, I'm going to want to go to these 2 groups. Not this group, because he's going to play Dustin Johnson in the round of 16. But if you pick a guy from this group, he can get out, get those points for you here, win his round of 16, and then he's going to play in the Elite 8 here. So Rahm, for instance, I don't mind if you can fit it in. If you want to go value, value, value with 3 or 4 spots, going Rahm and Johnson. That's going to be a little bit contrarian fitting those 2 in the same lineup, because they will have a chance of facing each other in that Elite 8 and can't get to that Final 4. But that's kind of a decision you have to make depending on what values you end up going with this week. So if I went with a guy down here, he's not going to face Dustin Johnson until the Elite 8. And then for my other golfers, say I would want to go, I would actually say Bryson and DJ are my favorites. I feel that they're going to make it to the final here. For my 5th and 6th golfer in my DraftKings lineup, for the most part, in most of my lineups, I'm going to want to go to this region up here, and then this region down here. And then if I've got Stenson here, I'm going to want to go to these bottom 2 groups here. And because I've got Griot here, I'm going to want to go to these 2 groups here, so that you're going to get those guys to the Elite 8. So theoretically, you could get all 4 to the Final 4, and then the other 2 guys just eliminated in the Elite 8. That's going to, for sure, if that happens, you're definitely going to cash no matter what contest you're going to be in, and you're going to have a really good shot at winning if you pick the winners and get some of those bonus points like we talked about. Those bonus points are definitely going to be huge in separating yourself, because there is no birdies, birdie bonuses, and that sort of thing. So that's kind of how I'm going to go about building my bracket, or building my DFS lineups on DraftKings this week, not selecting my bracket. I do have some bracket games in play. We're not going to talk about that here. Concentrating on DraftKings for the most part here. So what else I've done, I've got the salaries listed here, as you can see, the win odds to win the whole thing, and this WGC percentage. What that is I went to Match Play Records, which is from, shout out to AdamSarzen.com. He's got match play records for pretty much every single player on the planet. You can go in, so for instance, you can go look at, Dustin Johnson's one of my core plays, so let's just pull him up here. You open up Dustin Johnson's page and go down here. You can see his overall match play record, and I've got this in the sheet, but you can actually see a complete breakdown of the matches he's played, what course they played at. So then what I did was I compiled all the WGC match play from Austin Country Club, which it has been at this course 3 years in the past. So on the cheat sheet, on the main page, you're going to see course history. I've only got 3 years there, so there's a ton of match play to look at, but it's only been at Austin Country Club for the last 3 years. This will be the 4th year, so I just kind of wanted to break that down and look at this course specifically, this Pete Dye design, and go with that. So that's how I've got that on there. So I've also got their overall record pulled from Adam Sarzen's site, and then also the match play record over the last 3 years at Austin Country Club. I got that on there as well, just to see how guys fared. So as you can see, I've also compiled their win percentage and total matches played. So definitely have a look at that. That's definitely going to help you research. Some guys are a lot better than others when it comes to playing match play. So you can definitely use that resource to help you research this week. So with that said, as you can see, Dustin Johnson's going to be a core play for me here. He's been, dominant at this event in 2017. He beat Rahm in the final. Struggled a bit last year, but he's coming in with some good form here, so I'm definitely liking that. Looking at, I use FantasyNational.com. Excellent resource for all stats. My stats on my sheet, just for instance, are going to be 90% this season, so 2018-19 season stats, and then mixed in with 10% weight on last season as well, just to grab a little bit bigger of a sample size to see, when comparing your players. So I also use FantasyNational.com to see more of a rolling stats of last 4, 8, 12, 24, 50, 100 rounds, whatever you want to break that down to, and a ton of different stats. You can build a custom model over there as well, and that really works out really well. And another really neat thing, I'm just going to bring it over here right now, is the Austin Country Club Match Play Simulator. Definitely get over and check this out. So I've got Jon Rahm, Dustin Johnson. Very tough decision for me. I'm probably going to be splitting some lineups with say 60% with Johnson going to the final and 40% with Bryson going to the final. Mix it up that way, because that matchup is very tough for me. So what you can do is actually go select Dustin Johnson and Jon Rahm just on the list here, and just run simulations. So as you can see, they run their simulations. We've you can read about their methodology, how they go about coming up with the simulator. It's definitely a beta thing, I believe, still, but it gives you a good feel of guys. Like right now, Dustin Johnson 57% to win in a head-to-head scenario, 10% that they're going to have, 32.5% that Jon Rahm's going to win. So definitely go check that out. It's perfect. But what I'm really looking at this week, I said my going pretty simple, is looking at ball striking. So as you can see, Dustin Johnson's #1 in ball striking over the last 24 rounds overall. That's kind of why he's one of my top guys. Emiliano Grillo is also on my list this week. I said you're going to need to go crazy in a couple spots. Maybe not crazy, but he is #2 in ball striking over the last 24 rounds. I believe he's #1. Just pull him up here. Just looking at another screen. Yeah, he's #1 in opportunities gained right now. #2 in strokes gained ball striking, and 28th in birdie or better gain. 6,900 on DraftKings. I can definitely see him coming out of this group. And, I don't think particularly this region is the strongest. And when you look at the whole overall scope of the bracket, 4 golfers in the 10K plus range over here on the left side, got Dustin Johnson, Rory McIlroy. That could definitely be a matchup in the final. But then you got Jon Rahm and Justin Thomas, 2 beasts there as well. Jason Day just below that at 9,800. You look at this side, you got Justin Rose at 10. He hasn't been great here. Hasn't been a great match play player overall. Other big name is Kopka. Definitely going to be a favorite this week. You got a tough group here in Finau, Poulter, Kistner, and Mitchell. They all play well, but there's not a lot of high price. Bryson DeChambeau down at 9,500. That's one of the reasons why he's one of my cores, because you can take Bryson and you can pair him with Dustin Johnson, Rory McIlroy, or Jon Rahm, whoever's your favorite over there on the left side, and you don't really have to take as many risks But one of those risks I do like in the Stars and Scrubs type lineup is Griot. He's going to be low owned. You know, he's burned a lot of people a lot of times at high ownership because he always seems to pop in everyone's stats model. Since he's better on bent grass when it comes to putting, and he's gained strokes on the approach in 6 of his last 7 rounds, so he's got that going for him. And he's gained strokes in 7 straight rounds off the tee. So definitely love that ball striking. You know, his issue lately in 5 of his last 6 rounds, he's lost over 4 strokes putting. So if he puts together a good round of putting, which he did at the Players, he gained about 1.5 strokes to the field putting, and ended up finishing 26th in that strong field. I think that may be able to translate. He hasn't had success here. Like I said, he's going to be low on punt play for me, but it definitely helps you get a Dustin DeChambeau. You don't even necessarily got to go with Stenson. You could probably even fit Rory in there and just punt another spot. I also like Kistner this week. He was dominant last year. He beat some big names. We're just going to go look at his match play here real quick. Yeah, so last year he started out last year having with Adam Hadwin, then he beat Bernd Wiesberger, beat Dustin Johnson, the defending champion, came out of that group because of that win. Then he went on to beat Kutcher, Poulter, absolutely hammered Poulter 8-6 in the quarterfinals. Semifinals, he went to extra holes with Alex Noren, but Alex Noren is one of the best players when it comes to the match play. So he beat him as well, and then ended up with Bubba Watson winning it in extra holes at the end there. So definitely like Kevin Kistner. He would be, you know, one of those 5th and 6th guys because I do, like I said, I do have Bryson DeChambeau going, but I could see Kevin Kistner and Bryson DeChambeau in that Elite 8. I think Kistner can come out of that group. It's a very tough group. Group 14 along with Group 12. Very, very tough groups. It's another reason why I like Stenson coming out of that group as well, because I think Jason Day and even Phil Mickelson might even be more popular. Jim Furyk's been red hot lately. I think it's a contrarian pick. I think we got to go contrarian with a couple spots in our lineups because like guys like Bryson and DJ, that's going to be a pretty chalky final pairing there on Sunday for the championship. So taking a couple swings with guys like that coming out of those tough groups, you could definitely find some low ownership, and it helps you build lineups with Dustin DeChambeau or Rory and DJ, or like I said, pairing 2 of the big names. So that's kind of the strategy I'm going with this week. For more information on specific players, what players you like, maybe just reviewing a lineup for you, make sure to hit me up either on Twitter at Jaeger_bombs9, in the RotoPros community chat. It's a Slack chat, or the DFSR chat room there as well. Available in all 3 pretty much 24/7, 365. So with that, thanks for watching the video. Thanks for checking it out. I hope you build some good brackets this week, some good DFS lineups, and let's go see some green screens. Good luck, everyone.